Recording in progress.
So Zoom is a company built around Teams, video calls, shared screens, collaborative whiteboards, and every feature assumes multiple people working together. This month, Zoom launched a 150,000 grant program specifically for people who work alone, the solopreneur, which I love to talk about because who doesn't want to have a massively successful business without the drama and headache of a bunch of employees and their personal problems, and so on and so forth, and all the laws regarding hiring, firing, this and that. But anyways, let's get to it. When a company built on team infrastructure formally bets on the one-person business, that is a signal worth reading carefully. So that's what this episode is about. You guys remember, right? Right when COVID hit, Zoom's stock price skyrocketed because all these companies and businesses that couldn't open started doing business through Zoom, and it changed the way the world does business. And Zoom became a mega company overnight. And a lot of companies that still believed in forcing everybody to come into the office and then employees started going, no, I don't want to come into the office. And they were like, well, we need you. And they're like, well, I'll just go work somewhere else. All right, fine. We'll let you stay at home and do Zoom calls, 4 days out of the week, but you still got to come in one day. And a lot of employees refused. They were just like, no, I can do better work at home. Why would I come in and work? Why would I spend the gas money? Anyways, that was for teams. And now we're moving to the solopreneur era with AI. That's what this channel is about. We like to see how AI is going to be affecting and look forward. So start with the size of what we're actually talking about. There are 29.8 million solopreneurs operating in the United States alone. Together, they generate 1.7 trillion in annual revenue, 6.8% of total U.S. GDP. They represent 82% of all small businesses in the country, and they're growing. 72 million Americans currently work independently in some form. That is a lot of people working independently when you think that the population is only 350 to 400 million, right? So, yeah, post-COVID, those numbers massively changed, and knowledge base and everything, and where we're headed, with projections reaching 86.5 million by 2027. So by next year, that's like over a 20-25% increase in the solo founder. So the solo founder rate on Carta, the platform that tracks startup formation, reached 36% of new companies in 2025, up from 31% the year before. That is a huge jump. These are not gig workers doing odd jobs between corporate roles. 77% achieve profitability in their first year. Nearly half launched with under 5,000 in startup capital. This is crazy if you really think about it. 74% are actively using AI. 74%. So that's 3/4 of them are actively using AI in their operations. Gusto's 2026 research found a 72 billion hidden economy in the contractor networks that solopreneurs build around them. Not employees, but a web of collaborators, specialists, and partners that amounts to a distributed workforce. This is not a trend, it is an economic layer. Yeah, so the entire one-person business economy in the United States is bigger than a G2O nation. And until fairly recently, it was largely invisible in the policy conversation, in the venture conversation, and in the infrastructure conversation. The platforms were built for teams. So, moving on, let's see. So why does the Zoom program matter beyond the 150,000 grant thing that we had mentioned earlier? Because Zoom is not a solopreneur cheerleader. They're an enterprise software company whose entire product architecture was built around the assumption that work happens in teams. Their growth metrics are driven by seat counts, company accounts, and enterprise licenses, Their incentive structure is to build for organizations, not individuals. I'm actually recording this on Zoom right now, and I am an individual, and I do not work in teams anymore, and I used to. When a company like that launches a dedicated solopreneur recognition list, selects from nearly 3,000 applicants, and writes press releases about it, they are not doing it out of charity. They are following where their growth signal is pointing. And they are not alone. QuickBooks, Stripe, and several major SaaS platforms are all launched solopreneur specific features or programs in 2025 and 2026. The corporate infrastructure world does not build for categories. It does not believe we generate revenue. The fact that multiple enterprise platforms are now building specifically for the one person business is the real announcement. Zoom's 150,000 grant is the visible tip of a much larger bet. And I've been saying this. I've been predicting so many things that come true that I guess it's just kind of obvious if you're just paying attention. So many things become obvious. So nearly 3,000 people applied for a grant program that did not exist 12 months ago. Zoom had to turn away 2,950 of them. That's not a niche audience discovering a niche program. That is a mainstream audience recognizing themselves in a category that finally has a name. Yeah, the fact that the category now has a name, that there is a Zoom Solopreneur 50 to apply for, is itself a structural shift. Categories that get named get infrastructure built around them. Yes. So, what changes? When corporate infrastructure formally recognizes a category, three things happen. First, the tools get better. The product teams that were building features for a 50-person team start thinking about what a one-person business actually needs. Simpler billing, solo-friendly pricing tiers, integration that doesn't require an IT department. This is already happening. Zoom's Solopreneur page is a distinct product experience, not a repurposed SMB page. Second, the legitimacy signal changes. Clients, banks, and partners have historically treated the one-person business as a higher risk. Interesting. This is stuff that, I just don't think a lot of people think about. I think this is more of an evolution that's happening, It's not just a wake-up epiphany like, oh my God, I want to be a one-person, solopreneur. That's just the way things are moving. Lower status counterparty. When Fortune covers Zoom's Solopreneur grants and Inc. Magazine runs a feature on the program, those signals reach the people who make lending decisions and procurement approvals. The category gets taken more seriously because the press does. Isn't that funny how that works? You go to a bank, say I'm an entrepreneur 10 years ago, I'm a one-man show, they won't look at you, It's just like, but now you can go in there, apply for a loan, and you don't have to be this full infrastructured business. And the same thing is like startups, right? Everything's being disrupted. I mean, it used to be, a big nightmare to start a project, raise money through, a publicly traded company. It was like, forget it. You needed thousands of dollars, and you needed to know the right circles of people. And now you can crowdfund things, or you can just launch a token and say, we're doing a raise, get your tokens, just pay in crypto. I mean, you could literally do that with nothing, without any setup, a website. You can just ignore all the regulations and ask for forgiveness later. That's kind of where the world is going. And the thing is, they can't stop it. That's the thing. That's the disruption. So third, the competition for your attention and wallet increases. Enterprise platforms competing for the solopreneur customer means better pricing, more integrations, and more features built specifically for how one-person business actually operate, as opposed to a stripped-down version of what teams use. Yeah, the world is changing, and AI is, we went from these big teams in office to smaller teams outsourcing to third world countries and outsourcing to, virtual assistants in places like the Philippines where their English was good, and they all became really good at certain things like editing and video creating images and all that. And then AI came, and now it's kind of disrupting everything. Writing, you name it. You're not going to need even an outsourced team of virtual assistants from the Philippines. You'll be able to just basically have your AI do it. And if you want to scale, what you're going to do is you're going to hire probably one or two people from the Philippines that do a better job than most people in the West, just because people are mentally lazy these days. And then you just train them how to use AI, and you'll be basically just pulling them up on Zoom calls and putting together. You guys will be working with AI. AI will be guiding you, and they will just be leveraging so that you can do the stuff that humans still need to do, like go out and play golf, paddle out, surf, catch a good wave in the middle of the day when everybody's working and the waves are uncrowded. It's my favorite thing that I can do here living in Costa Rica is I can surf at times before the crowds come. And I'm not talking early in the morning, I'm talking early afternoon. Because I'm a solopreneur and I pick my schedule. Anyways, I'm off topic here. Let's move on. All right, 3 practical moves for anyone running a one-person business in 2026. First, audit, audit, audit. We always say this over and over. Audit your infrastructure against what's been built for you specifically. The platforms that were solopreneur hostile 18 months ago have updated their product lines. You may be paying enterprise pricing for features you don't use. This is a very good point. Or missing integrations that now exist. A quarterly tool audit costs you an hour and can save hundreds of dollars a month, thousands of dollars a month. Second, so that is something that's really important to keep up with AI and the constant updating, upgrading. What I've found is you can find a lot of solutions that used to be very expensive, and you had to, like, the only solution was these enterprise solutions that were like $200-300 a month, and it's like, oh, I can get Claude to do it as part of my subscription, and that's well, I'm already paying the $20 a month. Oh, you know what? Let's do that, and let's cancel that. Part of your audit, right? How many subscriptions are you paying for right now that you don't even need to? Probably a lot more than you realize. Let's see. Second, name what you are clearly and without apology. Solopreneur is now a word that Fortune, Inc. and Zoom use in press releases. Using it in your own positioning. You remember when influencer was a joke? I'm an influencer. It was like, oh, that's cute. So you like to make little funny little vlogs and stuff. And then it became the most sought after occupation for kids in high school and junior high, elementary. What do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be an influencer. And you rewind 15 years, 20 years before that. I want to be a rapper. I want to be a professional football player, basketball player. And then it went to, I want to be an influencer. Now, I want to be a solopreneur. That's what's going to happen. Right. So using it in your own position. So that's your LinkedIn, your website, your client conversation. I mean, think about it. I'm hiring a solopreneur. Okay, that means the pricing's probably going to be competitive. He doesn't have a lot of extra expenses and all this bloat. That's probably good for me. I can hire him. And maybe he's one of those kind of solopreneurs that only takes on a few clients. That's how I am. I don't deal with cheap stuff anymore. I only take on a few people. I pick who I work with very carefully. And I do a lot of variety of things, and it's mainly things that I want to do. All right, puts you in a category that has mainstream recognition, not the apologetic small print. Yes, where was I? Yeah. Not the apologetic small print of just me at the moment. Third, if you are not yet using AI as an operational layer, not just for drafting, but for the repeating tasks that run your business, you are running the old model with new tools. 74% of solopreneurs in 2026 are already there. The gap between the ones who have and the ones who haven't is now measurable in capacity, output, and revenue. You know, if I was a small business and I was downsizing, one of the things that I would do, which is what I had in my last organization, but I was a little too early at the game, is I had a team of people that were all online, and I tried to appoint one of my virtual assistants, very bright person from the Philippines, and this is about 2 years ago, to become my AI expert. I said, look, AI is going to be the future, and I need you to start paying attention, and then I want to meet with you once a week, and I want to find out what have you learned about AI and what's available. Now, this is 2 years ago. It wasn't yet mainstream, and there was what they call the what's that term they call it? It's called the immune problem, the immune resistance problem. It's basically where you tell like a bunch of employees that they have to use AI and they need to learn it, and then they sabotage it because they're afraid of it. And that's exactly what happened. Is my employee was afraid, and then he said, "Sir, I have to be honest. I've talked with all the employees from the Philippines, and they're worried because we see AI is going to be able to do everything that we do." And I tried to say, like, look, this is true, but your only protection is you need to become an expert in AI so that you can be the operator of the AI, and then we can expand a lot quicker. But it was so hard to get them to do it. They just couldn't make that shift because they were so used to doing things a certain way. Anyways, the point is now it's mainstream. It's easy to find the information. There's YouTube tutorials everywhere. You hire somebody on your team from the Philippines or wherever, and that is their main purpose. Their job is to be on top of what AI has to offer and what can you do to improve your business, because that's what the audit is all about. You will find that there are probably so many things that your business could be doing, not just using automation, but actually be doing a superior job, better job than you're doing, improving your follow-up, your customer support, your social media posting, your content creation, your brainstorming, your organizing, your data entry, you name it. But the thing is as a business owner, you do not know what you don't know. So you don't know what you don't know. So you need somebody who that's their job. They learn. So that's what I would do. Anyways, that's what I have done. I was a little early at it, but that's what I would do again if I were to start up a team, which I may, because I'm working on a whole bunch of stuff. Anyways, I'm drifting here, and it's the reason why I do these videos is because I just want to stay up to date with all this stuff. I don't care about trying to grow this channel. It's like I make these videos, I do the research, I use AI, and it just keeps me on top of what's new, what's out there, and I just love doing it. So that's why I do it. Anyways, so the one-person business stopped being a consolation prize a while ago. 2026 is the year the corporate infrastructure world confirmed it in writing. 1.7 trillion, 29.8 million people, 6.8% of GDP, and now a Zoom grant program, 3,000 applicants, and a Fortune feature to mark the moment. You are not a niche. We are not a niche any longer. You are the economy. Act accordingly. Yes, my fellow solopreneurs, get ready to take over. It's going to be fun, but it's going to disrupt. It's going to cause a lot of chaos. So you got to be on the right side of it. As they say, you want to be in front of the herd. Get in front of the herd, because the herd is coming. All right, guys, until the next video, subscribe, as we say, and, we're going to keep covering some cool topics that I find. Until then, let's get it.